Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Meetinghouse of Provincetown, where we affirm the inherent worthiness and dignity of every person, and where we support each other on our spiritual search for truth and meaning. My name is Reverend Kate Wilkinson, and I am so glad that you are here this morning. What a hard and difficult week it's been in the news, and I'm really glad that we have each other to gather with. Welcome to all of you in the room, and welcome also to those of you joining us via our live stream. Before we begin our worship service, I have just a few announcements to share. And at the beginning of this, I would just love to hold dear Lee and Jan on our hearts and in our care. They are here this morning. Many of you have heard that the pilot who died last Sunday at the Provincetown airport was Lee's brother, Christopher. And you are just held in our love and care so tightly. All of you are invited to sign a card for them downstairs at coffee hour. There's a little table by the stage where you can add your name to a heart, and we would love to collect all your names and hearts and care for Lee and Jan. We will not be having a Zoom coffee hour this week on Tuesday, but we will resume that next week. This week, the office will be closed on Tuesday and Wednesday, while Kenneth and I and Jane are at an off-site meeting. I'm very excited that next week I will be joined in the pulpit by longtime activist and educator Billie Avery. She is the founder of the Black Women's Health Imperative, and she serves on the Provincetown Juneteenth Committee here in town. And we will also be joined by the fabulously talented Broadway singer James Jackson, so you definitely do not want to miss next Sunday. Coming up in February, Elspeth Slater will be leading us in a 3-part workshop on becoming a disability-affirming congregation. And she has great ideas on how we can be the most welcoming and accessible faith community that we can be. So I hope that many of you will sign up for that. It's going to be on 3 Sundays after coffee hour for just 1 hour each week. And sign-ups will start next week. Finally, if you are attending in person today, we hope you will stick around for a little while after the service for coffee and conversation downstairs in Acker Bosworth Hall. Let's take a moment now to affirm our Meetinghouse covenant. You can find this printed on the purple laminated cards in your pews. I'm going to say it line by line, so you can also just repeat each line back to me. Love is the spirit of this meeting house. This is our great covenant. To seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Did I miss dwelling in peace? We just can't miss that one. Not this week. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace. Yeah. Now, as we light our chalice here in the sanctuary, I invite those of you joining us from home to light a candle wherever you are. In that way, we can feel connected even while we are apart. This morning, I invite our worship host, Ellen, and another Ellen to light our chalice. And I was just saying, I wonder what a pluralness of Ellens is. I'm going to name it a wildness of Ellens. So Ellens, I invite you to light our chalice.
Our chalice lighting words this morning are by Sean Gibson. We light our chalice in the spirit of transformation. Nothing stays the same. Everything moving, shifting, changing. Guide us all to a wild and holy vision of our shared humanity.
Thank you. Would you please join me in singing our opening hymn? It's in their gray hymnals, and it's number 113. It's called Where is Our Holy Church? It's number 113, and Brenda's going to play it all the way through for us before we begin singing, but I invite you to rise as you are able for Where is Our Holy Church? 113. You may be seated. I invite you to join me now in a spirit of prayer and meditation. After the prayer, we will sing together Spirit of Life, hymn number 123 in the gray hymnals. You can also find the words to that song printed on the same purple laminated cards in your pews. We'll sing it first in English and then in Spanish. During the prayer or at any time during the service, you're welcome to light a candle at the table to the right of the pulpit, and there is a journal there to record your thoughts and prayers. Our prayer this morning is by my colleague Dan Schatz, and he wrote it this week. Spirit of love and justice, sacredness within, we cry out in fear and grieving, in anger and determination. Love and justice, take hold. Remind us who we are. Lead us forward and guide us in your ways. When we are afraid, turn us to each other, so we may give and find comfort and strength in community. When we mourn, open our hearts yet wider to the joys as well as the sorrows of this world, and to compassion for all beings. When we are angry, remind us again and again of our ideals, keeping us true to their vision. And love and justice, give us determination to hold together, to better this world, to love humanity in spite of it all, to keep the struggle when the times are hard, and to move as one to a new day of promise. Amen, and blessed be. So a reporter called me this week and asked me about the role of pastors and of religious community during difficult political times. And I said some things that hopefully made sense. We'll see when the article comes out in the Independent, I guess. I wish I had read to her the words of Mark Morrison Reed, which I found in the back of our hymnal a few hours after hanging up the phone with her. Mark is a colleague who has written several books, including The Selma Awakening, How the Civil Rights Movement Tested and Changed Unitarian Universalism. And I thought we could read his words together now as we think together about how we as a faith community are being called to meet this moment. And it's reading number 580 in the back of your hymnals. And I'm going to read the first paragraph, and you can read the second one, but that's number 580 in the back of your gray hymnals. I'm going to give you a minute to find it because we don't usually find this section. You have it? Okay, I'm going to read the first paragraph on the bottom of the page, and you read the paragraph with Ellen at the top of the next page. 580. It's called The Task of the Religious Community. The central task of the religious community is to unveil the bonds that bind each to all. There is a connectedness, a relationship discovered amid the particulars of our own lives and the lives of others. Once felt, it inspires us to act for justice.
It is the church that assures us that we are not struggling for justice on our own, but as members of a larger community. The religious community is essential, for alone our vision is too narrow to see all that must be seen, and our strength too limited to do all that must be done. Together, our vision widens and our strength is renewed.
Thank you, and I invite Ellen to give our second reading this morning.
Our second reading this morning is an excerpt from the dystopian novel 1984 by George Orwell. It was published in 1949, and when most of us first read it, the year 1984 felt far in the future, and the concepts of Big Brother and the thought police felt pretty far away too. The concepts of the party. But today, here's a passage from chapter 7. He picked up the children's history book and looked at the portrait of Big Brother, which formed its frontispiece. The hypnotic eyes gazed into his own. It was as though some huge force were pressing down upon you, something that penetrated inside your skull, battering against your brain, frightening you out of your beliefs, persuading you almost to deny the evidence of your senses. In the end, the party would announce that 2 and 2 made 5, and you would have to believe it. It was inevitable that they would claim sooner or later the logic of their position demanded it. Not merely the validity of experience, but the very existence of external reality was tacitly denied by their philosophy. The heresy of heresies was common sense. And what was terrifying was not that they would kill you for thinking otherwise, but that they might be right. For after all, How do we know that 2 and 2 make 4? Or that the force of gravity works? Or that the past is unchangeable? If both the past and the external world exist only in our mind, and if the mind itself is controllable, what then? The party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command. His heart sank as he thought of the enormous power arrayed against him, the ease with which any party intellectual would overthrow him in debate, the subtle arguments which he would not be able to understand, much less answer. And yet, he was right. They were wrong, and he was right. The obvious, the silly, the true had to be defended. Truisms were true. Hold on to that. The solid world exists. Its laws do not change. Stones are hard. Water is wet. Objects unsupported fall toward the earth's center. With the feeling that he was setting forth an important axiom, he wrote, "Freedom is freedom to say that 2 + 2 make 4. And if that is granted, everything else follows."
Thank you. Now is the time when we take a collection for the ongoing support of this meeting house and our shared ministry. As we enjoy a musical reflection by our choir, we welcome your donations here in the sanctuary or online through PayPal or Venmo. You can find that information on our website, uumh.org. I've asked the choir to sing something we don't usually sing here, "My Country 'Tis of Thee," this morning. The lyrics were written in 1831 by Samuel Francis Smith, who was at the time a student at Andover Theological Seminary. And although he wrote it in just 30 minutes, the song became a sort of unofficial national anthem until the Star-Spangled Banner was adopted in 1931. The song celebrates American liberty, beauty, and history, and it includes a prayer for God's blessing on this country. As we continue to reflect today about who we are being called to be in this moment, what it means to be a patriot, and what the ideals of our country are, I thought it would be interesting to listen to this song. So at this point, I invite 3 or 4 volunteer ushers forward to take up our collection. On and off site, your offerings will now be gratefully received.
Sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing.
Thank you. The party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command. I was reminded of that line from Orwell this week as videos were being shared all over the internet of the killing of Renee Good by an ICE officer in Minneapolis. Details are still emerging, but quickly we were offered several different versions of events. One by the party, and one by the evidence of our own eyes and ears. We could, if we chose to, watch the murder on video from several different angles because bystanders were recording the incident on their phones. And the FBI has now taken over the investigation of Good's death, and local and state authorities don't have access to any of the evidence except those videos. The president and vice president have gone on television calling Nicole Good a domestic terrorist and praising the actions of the ICE officer. They continue to rile up the country by describing immigrants as rapists and criminals, sending alarming numbers of armed ICE agents into communities and deploying the National Guard, telling us we are in danger, our children are in danger. While stoking fears, our government continues to kidnap people off the streets, placing them into detention centers and sending them without trial to foreign countries, sometimes not even the ones they came from. It's very hard to get information about anyone taken into custody, and even harder to visit them. Criticism of the government or of favored people is punishable now. People are losing their jobs because of comments they've made online. People are receiving death threats. And of course, we invaded Venezuela last week, took their president, are making plans for their oil. Naomi Wolf is a journalist and author who has studied the ways that totalitarian regimes and fascist governments have typically come into power. And it sounds like that would be very hard to do, but it can actually be accomplished in just 10 steps, she says. Step 1, invoke an external and internal threat. Pose it as a threat to civilization itself. Create a sense of overwhelming crisis beyond the reach of any traditional solution. Insist that the leader's superior instinct and access to privileged knowledge are more reliable than universal reason. Step 2, establish secret prisons. Suspend due judicial process and the right to habeas corpus, if only for certain sectors of the population. Establish military tribunals side by side with civilian courts. Establish a policy of necessary state-sanctioned torture, and let all these measures quietly be made public. Confound the public understanding of human rights and civil rights. Step 3, develop a paramilitary force. Deploy mercenaries abroad and encourage domestic intimidation at election sites and public demonstrations. Step 4, watch ordinary citizens. Monitor private correspondence, telephone and electric networks, and hubs of information like libraries and schools. Make it known that to place your name on a petition or a list of supporters or donors to a cause may suggest subversion. Step 5, infiltrate citizens groups. Intimidate grassroots organizations. Encumber free assembly. Step 6, arbitrarily detain and release citizens. Establish lists of citizens under suspicion. Step 7, target key individuals. Monitor the speech and activity of popular figures, college and university faculty, artists, progressive religious leaders, and their institutions. Step 8, restrict the access of the press. Threaten journalists with prison at home and violence abroad. Flood the media with misinformation. Step 9, cast criticism as espionage and dissent as treason. Step 10, subvert the rule of law. Like the words of 1984, these 10 steps codified by Naomi Wolf in 2007 feel like some sort of crystal ball into the future, into our present circumstances. It's not really, though, that George Orwell or Naomi Wolf are psychics, but they are students of history. They know how this goes because it has gone this way before. Most often, it is not in a thunderous, violent coup that open societies have been eclipsed and dictatorships arisen, Naomi says, though this kind of action may be the final straw. No, it's not a moment, but a slow creep. She opens her book, which is called The End of America, Letter of Warning to a Young Patriot, with words from Justice William O. Douglas, Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States from 1939 to 1975. He was appointed by Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and he was the longest-serving justice in history, having served for 36 years and 209 days. Douglas wrote, "As nightfall does not come all at once, neither does oppression. In both instances, there is a twilight, when everything remains seemingly unchanged. And it is in such a twilight that we all must be most aware of the change in the air, however slight, lest we become unwitting victims of the darkness." Friends, we are there. We are here. This is the twilight of democracy, and we must be aware. In 2015, my colleague Victoria Safford wrote a sermon called "Safe and Profoundly Unsound." Most of us have only a faint understanding of how societies open up or close down, she said, how they become supportive of freedom or ruled by fear. One reason for our vagueness, Victoria says, about how liberty lives or dies is that we have tended lately to subcontract out the tasks of the patriot, to let the professionals, the lawyers, scholars, activists, politicians worry about understanding the Constitution and protecting our rights the way we hire professionals to do our taxes. They can keep democracy up and running. We're busy. We take our American liberty for granted, Naomi Wolf says, the way we take our natural resources for granted, seeing both rather casually as being magically self-replenishing. We have not noticed how vulnerable either resource is until very late in the game, when systems start to falter. We have been slow to learn that liberty, like nature, demands a relationship with us in order for it to continue to sustain us. The events of the last weeks and months have been a bit of a wake-up call, an invitation for us to be more in relationship with our liberty. and it is time. It is time to be protective of our right to gather, to be wary of surveillance, to be engaged and in touch with our communities through formal and informal networks. It's time to be protective of the free press. It is time to think for ourselves, but not to think only of ourselves. It is time to think of our neighbor as well, to see ourselves as interconnected, not separate. What happens to the most vulnerable will happen to us if we do not stand up for them. Let's not let immigration become the issue that shuts down our hearts and casts the other as villain, which is the plan. But let our pluralism be what makes our country great. Let's not be afraid of who they tell us to be afraid of, which is the plan, but use our own life experiences of connection and disconnection as our guides. Let's not allow religion to be the opium of the masses or a tool for scapegoating, which is the plan, but rather let religion be an invitation to see a wider vision than we ourselves could dream or see alone. Let's not define patriotism as blindly following a leader, which is the plan, but rather as protecting the hard-won rights of the sweet land of liberty of which we sing. This may be the twilight of democracy, but there is still time to reverse course. And we have a role to play in making that so. Heather Cox Richardson reminds us, authoritarians cannot rise if there are strong communities and people acting with connection and joy. You need despair and anger in order for authoritarianism to rise. Don't stop doing the things you love because you're scared, she says. Because doing the things you love is actually a form of resistance. Showing up and doing the things you love says to an authoritarian, you have no place to root here. Talking about this isn't easy. And listening to this isn't easy, and I appreciate your attention this morning. When we hear about hard things, one of our instinctive reactions is to close down, to shut down or to go to sleep as a protective measure. But I am asking us to stay awake. I'm actually asking us to come alive during this hard time, to lean into the things that make us strong, learning and connecting and worshiping and singing and gathering and protesting and resisting and resting and listening and reading and talking and paying attention. We are here at the threshold of a new year, and at the threshold of how history is going to play out this time around. Let us not outsource our liberty. Let us not forget our role, however small, in charting our country's course. I'd like to end with the words of the poet Amanda Gorman, from her poem, New Day's Lyric. She wrote this at the end of the first year of the pandemic, but I think it preaches today, too. May this be the day we come together. Mourning, we come to mend. Withered we come to weather, torn we come to tend, battered we come to better. Tethered by this year of yearning, we are learning that though we weren't ready for this, we have been readied by it. We steadily vow that no matter how we are weighed down, we must always pave a way forward. This hope is our door, our portal. Even if we never get back to normal, someday we can venture beyond it to leave the known and take the first steps. So let us not return to what was normal, but reach toward what is next. What was cursed, we will cure. What was plagued, we will prove pure. Where we tend to argue, we will try to agree. Those fortunes we forswore, now the future we foresee. Where we weren't aware, we're now awake. Those moments we missed are now these moments we make, the moments we meet and our hearts, once all together beaten, now together beat. Come, look up with kindness yet, for even solace can be sourced from sorrow. We remember not just for the sake of yesterday, but to take on tomorrow. We heed this old spirit in a new day's lyric. In our hearts we hear it. For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, be bold, sang time this year. Be bold, sang time. For when you honor yesterday, tomorrow ye will find. Know what we've thought need not be forgot, nor for none. It defines us, binds us as one. Come over, join this day just begun, for wherever we come together, we will forever overcome. May it be so. Amen, and blessed be. You can stay standing. I feel like we need to sing together again. Ellen's going to come around and maybe someone can help her. And she's passing out the lyrics to a song I'm sure you know, This Land Is Your Land. But there might be some lyrics at the end that you actually don't know because they've been left out a lot. They weren't always seen as patriotic, but we are redefining patriotism. And these were written by a true patriot who spoke truth to power, Woody Guthrie. So we are going to sing This Land Is Your Land. We're going to be accompanied by Heather on guitar. There's still folks who need the lyrics, so we'll wait for everyone to have them. California. Thank you. You may be seated.
It has become our practice to pose a question based on the theme of the service each week. It can be a topic of sharing at coffee hour today or with friends during the week. A reminder that there's no Zoom coffee hour this Tuesday, but we still wanted to offer you a question to ponder. Heather Cox Richardson reminds us that showing up and doing things you love says to an authoritarian, "You have no place to root here." And that joy is a form of resistance. With that in mind, how are you resisting authoritarianism? How are you resisting authoritarianism?
Just a little light question for you to ponder. But let me end with these closing words that you heard earlier. It is the church that assures us that we are not struggling for justice on our own, but as members of a larger community. The religious community is essential, for alone our vision is too narrow to see all that must be seen, and our strength too limited to do all that must be done. Together, our vision widens, and our strength is renewed. May it be so. Go in peace.